Hey everybody, welcome. It's almost the end here. We're heading into week 4, and it just feels crazy to me that we have gone this long and we are, look at all of us, still shining bright and happy. Hi Chelsea, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Tonight's call is first going to talk about food prep, and then I want to ask a couple of questions. And then at the end, we'll talk a little bit about continuing on with the supplements after our 30 days. So first, let's start out. How many of you got to see the food prep that I did on Facebook Live? Yes? Oh, good. Awesome. So the thing about food prep is that I try, and I don't know if you saw this or not, but I try to go with foods that I know most everyone in the family likes and that are in season and that store really well. So like the mushrooms, I know I didn't show this, but I can actually post a picture of how easy it is to pop those little stems out without having to cut away at the meat of the mushroom, so you get the majority of it. And then I actually store the mushrooms without washing them. And so then when it comes time to have, mushrooms with our dinner, which we had the cauliflower and gnocchi tonight with sauteed mushrooms, onions, garlic, and tomatoes. And I just went ahead and thoroughly rinsed off basically the shell, if you will, because sometimes it looks like they're clean because we think that's the color of a mushroom. But as I was just plopping out the stems, like without cutting it, just like pulling out the stems, and I did that for those 3 little cartons, all of my fingers were black from the dirt. And so, and they're organic, right? But I still wanted to store them that way so that as soon as, if you were to wash it beforehand and then store it, it would get kind of mushy. And so you don't want that to happen. But the other things like the red bell pepper and the green bell pepper and the zucchini and stuff, those are tough enough that they won't go mushy. But I do take a paper towel and I just kind of pat them dry for a little bit before I store them, before I even stick them in the glass container. Just because, you want to prevent any buildup or residue and any chance that it might go bad. So that's always my big thing, is storing the foods that are in season, that your family loves, and that you can use in the recipes for the week. I don't go too crazy. I don't have like every vegetable at the grocery store at one time chopped up and in a container, because that's unrealistic and I know we're not going to use it. So I try to focus on, a handful, 5, 6, or 7 things that we can just very easily gravitate towards during the week and we can use in a way kind of like capsule wardrobes, but for food. You know how a capsule wardrobe, you pick like your top 10 things and you just kind of wear them, mix match them. You can have 100 different combinations with how you put the outfit together. I think the same thing can be said about food prep. And, it could be something like tacos, or it could be something like a pasta like tonight. And so any of these different variations of veggies can be prepared in such a way that they don't taste like you're eating the same thing every night. I think you've been able to notice that too with the recipes, that you can have quinoa in a lunch dish on a salad, but you can also have it in a breakfast bowl that's really hearty and warm and comforting, as well as in a taco at night, right? So quinoa can be something that is used in all sorts of dishes. But yeah, so other things that I do for food prep, one of them that I forgot to mention was, if you do, I talked a little bit about the sweet potato, and when I cook them whole, I do have it ready to go and I can put it in the oven. But a lot of times when I'm just sauteing veggies, and kind of like in the recipes too, where it'll say onions and garlic, and then cut up sweet potato, cut up russet potato, or cut up zucchini, or whatever it is, you can so easily just place that on a cooking dish and put that in the oven. But if you have this massive chunk of a sweet potato that you have to cut up and do it all yourself that night, it just seems like a lot of work, especially if you're having to peel it, all the things. But if you can just have it ready to go, that's one less step that you have to do. But then there are other dishes that require a sweet potato to be more tender. And so with those dishes, you would want to have a full sweet potato that you could bake for 60 minutes. And then that's something I love to do on Sundays too, is take a bunch of sweet potatoes, pre-bake them. Then when I store them in the refrigerator, I store them in the casing. So they stay inside the skin. Some people take the skin off and then store them. I find that makes them dry out and they're not quite as like juicy later on. But if you keep that casing on, you keep that skin on, then when you take that off, you'll notice it has like a caramelization on the inside and it's just a lot sweeter and a lot more flavorful, right? So are there any questions about the food prep that you saw today or something that you'd like to add to the conversation? I know for the celery, because some people were getting confused about that on my social media when I did celery. It's like I have celery pre-cut for dishes that we make, like, chickpea noodle soup or a like some sort of savory dish that you want to add celery to. But I like to have it pre-cut too because I like that extra crunch in a salad. So that's not the celery that I'm juicing. The celery that I juice, I only cut the top and bottom off of and then store it that way so that it's like just very easy to put inside the juicer. But when you're cutting up celery for a dish, you don't need it to be, super big. And same thing for the juicer. You don't need to cut your celery really, really tiny for that. That's something you can just add to a salad or to a dish. So awesome. Okay. So I want to hear all about your holiday. So the question that I'm going to ask everybody tonight is, how did it go throughout the week with this sort of modification of how you're living your life right now, with the holiday and with family? And what's like a pro or a con? So what's something that worked well and what's something that maybe you wished could have gone differently? So do you want to volunteer this time or do you want me to call on you? I'm good with either.
I can volunteer.
Awesome.
Okay, so I was very anxious about the holidays just because we're traveling from like Tuesday through Sunday, basically. Like we weren't in our house, and it turned out better than I expected. I definitely made better choices, and I brought things. So I brought the sweet potato souffle, and then I also made just the fall harvest salad, or one of them, with like the chickpeas and sweet potatoes, and then I added like cranberries, like just other like fall type things, nuts. So that was a good go-to to have also. But then I also went out to eat a few times and tried to just make better choices. So I ended up having salmon and vegetables for lunch one day, and then my mom had made like a pecan pie with a nut crust so I could eat it, and then I was like, oh well, I have to, I'll have it now. So there was definitely some things that I was like, oh, I'll just have this, but it was better than it would have been. So I was actually very happy with it and okay with how it went, but
yeah,
I guess it was more of a modified version. But yeah, so a little bit of balance in both directions, I would say.
Yeah, that's awesome. So one thing that you said that stuck out to me was that you were able to take different recipes and kind of create your own. And that is like the biggest compliment, because if you're looking at like the fall harvest salad and you're like, okay, this looks great, but I don't have all these things, or maybe I want to add this other flavor in. I mean, you're basically, that just tells me that you're becoming very fluent in the kitchen and recognizing your palate and what you gravitate towards and what you like and what you don't like, and mixing it up. And I think that's like the point of all of this, right? That you can be so self-sufficient after we're all done that you can look at the recipe and say, okay, I can make that and I can turn it into my own too. So I love that. Thank you for sharing. Mm-hmm. Did they like the sweet potato dish that you brought?
Yeah, they did. They liked it a lot. I think that they were like they thought that it was, you know, normal because it was still good. So they were confused how it was vegan or what the difference was.
They're like, hey, wait a minute.
Yeah.
This tastes good. There's something you're not telling us.
Yeah.
I know. I actually didn't tell anybody at the dinner that my pumpkin pie was vegan, and nobody said anything. They were just like,
Wow.
oh, this
Yeah.
is really good.
Yeah.
So I was happy about that. Awesome. Thank you. Okay, who wants to go next?
I can go. This is Chelsea.
Okay, Chelsea.
So how'd it go? We got the flu and had a pretty bad cold going through. So it was kind of hit or miss most of the week.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
But I felt pretty good by the time Thanksgiving rolled around, and we traveled to big road trip home. And so pro and con. Pro, so it's kind of a, I don't know, it's kind of a catch-22 a little bit in the fact that pro let people know, because I let people know that I was focusing on eating more fruits and vegetables and eating more things that were whole. And what I found to be was people were receptive and responsive. So my mom was there, and she happens to be also, she's got a lot of thyroid concerns. So she, one night after Thanksgiving, had prepared this really yummy, it was like a butternut squash enchilada type dish. So
Yeah,
like she
sounds amazing.
Instead of ordering the pizza like she usually does on a Friday night, because she's got all her family in town and they're going to watch the game or whatever, she actually made something different and everybody enjoyed it. So I thought it was cool. You gave people an opportunity to try something new. There was always leftovers if they didn't like it. But there was just that. The con is I dislike being that person. If that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
sometimes I would rather just make the good choices and not tell people. Because I don't want people to feel inconvenienced if I'm there. I don't want other people to feel self-conscious about what they're eating. Does that make sense? Like,
yes.
I want them to live their life and make their choices and not feel like I'm judging or thinking one way or another. So anyways, that was the pro, that was the con. We're on the road to good health after last week.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. You know, it's so funny because the same thing goes through my mind all the time, Chelsea. So we were at my godmother and godfather's house for Thanksgiving, and they're my aunt and uncle, and it was just so beautiful to be back home and just be around family and not have had to travel. We just drove there, you know, I think it was like an hour in traffic or something, but it was just beautiful. But my mom had said to her beforehand, like, you know, Lena doesn't eat dairy and or meat, you know, and I thought, like, I felt so bad when I found out my mom had said something, because I thought, oh my gosh, like she's gonna really hesitate on these recipes, and like it's so Italian to have these things, and I feel so bad. Like I felt terrible pulling up to her house, like I was somehow, one, inconveniencing her, and two, like just like making her feel like kind of like ashamed even to have someone come over and not be able to serve them what she really wants to give them, especially because she's so Italian, and Italians, like their love language is food, you know, and it's mine too. And so when I got to her house and in her kitchen, I brought her a gift to kind of like, you know, like I was like easing into it, trying to make sure that I wasn't going to offend her too much if I brought her something nice. And she looked at me and she was so proud. And she was like, I made, in her, you know, Italian language, but she was saying it in Italian, like, I made these dishes and I made these other ones for you. So when you're ready to eat, you get to eat out of these. And I was like I just started to cry. I was like, oh, you didn't have to do that for me. I feel so bad. And she was like, no, don't feel bad. It's totally fine, because now she has a granddaughter who's allergic to gluten. And so she's already kind of used to modifying anyways. And so it was more in my head. But the whole night I was still kind of thinking about it as my cousins were rolling in and like bringing pies and all this stuff that I knew I couldn't try. And they were like, hey, you want a piece? And I'm like, oh no, like I'm super full. You know, saying stuff to so I wouldn't have to lie to them and be like, oh yeah, I can't have it. Because if you say I can't have it, then they're gonna be like, why? What are you doing? And why are you better than us? Like, you know, I'm a schlup because I eat butter or whatever, and you don't want people to feel that way. So I've come up with these things like I'm full, or, I've already had dessert, thank you, or oh my gosh, it looks so good. And then they think you took a piece. So I'm totally with you. I don't have the answers, but I will say that sometimes we make it a bigger deal in our head than it really is for the host, So
that's a really good point. And I think also just letting people make their own choices. Like if I'm hosting a dinner and I know I have people coming over that have food allergies, either I had a good friend whose child was extremely allergic to several things, and she just would always prepare her meal wherever they went. And people knew that she just brings her own food. So I don't know. Yep. But that's good. Really good points.
Yeah, I think sometimes we make it a big deal and we feel, and honestly, the longer you're doing this or the longer you're eating for you and for health, the more it's really going to set in with people that this isn't just like a temporary thing or like, what are you doing now, Chelsea? But like, this is Chelsea's lifestyle, and, we want to make sure we accommodate everyone. So yeah, thank you. Okay, so who's next? I see Melissa on my screen next. Are you there, Melissa?
I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. How are you?
Wow, I'm surprised you can hear me because, this thing just, I don't know, my phone does not like me and sometimes it just doesn't work. So, well, I was actually kind of bad for Thanksgiving because this is the first year in the almost 17 years we've been married that we did not have to travel. And we got to stay home in our home. And so I told David, okay, I'm going to make us a Thanksgiving dinner because I've never done it, ever. And I said, okay, I'm going to do this. And so I got a turkey breast and all the trimmings and everything. But the thing that I did do is I watched how much I ate. I didn't normally, I would like take, seconds, thirds, just keep on going. But I didn't do that. I was really good. I only had one plate, and I was really kind of proud of myself for that. But I did actually have the normal stuff because I've never done that, and I wanted to do that for him.
Yeah.
Because, we've never got to do that. We've always gone to family, and this year we decided to stay home, and it was just so nice to be able to stay home in my jammies and have Thanksgiving with my husband. But there is something that did happen. I think it was maybe Friday or Saturday. My husband made pork chops. And I'm not a big pork chop fan, but I usually will eat it. And I don't know what it was, but I took a bite, and I thought I was going to be sick. I had to put the rest on his plate. It didn't taste good. It tasted horrible. And I'm normal. I like meat, but it tasted terrible to me. It's just like my body is craving more of the vegetables and the fruit and the healthier food, and just stuff that I would have just ate without a second thought just doesn't taste good anymore.
Yeah.
My body doesn't want that. And I like that, though. I like the fact that my body's like, no, you don't want that. You want this. So, and thank you today for your food prep. That I didn't even know that like Trader Joe's had like some of that stuff. I've gone there, but now I think I'm going to be buying a lot more things there than I used to.
Yeah, it just makes life so much more convenient when you know it's ready to go. There are seasons where I have more time and I can prepare all the things. But when I know I have a busy week ahead, I love that I can have that option of having it all ready to go, pre-washed.
Well, the thing is I'll eat it if it's ready. And if it's not, I'm more tempted to well, this is so much easier, anything else. And you made it, and I was like, oh, I was like, look at that. That's, that hummus is already in like a serving form, and that's already like that, and this is already like that. And it's just like, oh, and I never thought to put stuff in glass because that's my biggest complaint about eating, vegetables and fruits. They go bad so fast. It's like, I feel like I have to go shopping every other day if I want something to be fresh and good. And I was just like, and so it gets to be expensive to do that. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe if I put it in glass, it'll last longer.
And you live right by that Aldi, Melissa.
Yeah. It's, though, it's not the greatest.
It doesn't have
Yeah.
good anything except for produce. So every time I went, because they have organic produce there for super cheap, I would
Yeah, they
get,
do.
you would think I was the craziest person because I would walk out of that Aldi with a cardboard box of 10 butterhead lettuce. Like this is because it was $1.50. And I was like, I can have this for lunch every single day this week. My husband can have salad. Like it was just so fresh and so good. I miss that Aldi. But
Yeah.
yeah, there's a couple things you said though that I want to touch on, because one of the things you said is you said I was bad this last week. Oh, that hurts me. Don't say that ever again, because there's no bad in you, right? I want us to look at our health as more of like a bank account. You have withdrawals someday and you have deposits on other days. And when we have withdrawals that may be greater, like we go through a time where we are having more sweets because it's the holidays or something like that, we know then that the next day or the next few days that we're going to have more deposits and we're going to be eating things that are healthier, which is why I really think your body had that visceral reaction to the meat, is because you knew and your body knew that you needed that fresh food, right?
Yeah.
So don't think of it like that. Okay, you got to start training yourself to not think of those words in your vocabulary anymore.
Well, this week will be good. I'm actually part of an accountability group for exercising and everything, and I'm doing like the Shakeology and stuff and all that again. And because this friend of mine wanted me, and my sister sent it to me for my birthday, so it's like, okay, so on top of what I'm doing with Lena, I can do this too. And I'm like, okay, this week is going to be great. I'm going to be healthy and I'm going to eat right and everything. And then I was sitting here today and I was like, man, I would really love some chips. And I was like, no, Melissa. No, Melissa. No, Melissa. So it's so
Well,
hard.
okay, so let's talk about that, because that feeling that you had towards potatoes, every single food, if you invest in a book, buy the book Life Changing Foods, it's really good. But every single food, every single produce has an emotional connection in our body. And potatoes are very comforting and very grounding. And so if your body wanted chips, then you could go make a potato, right? That's an option to kind of give yourself a lot of nutrients without having all the extra saturated fats and stuff on top of it. So
Or something
are
strange.
good.
Something strange I also do is I cut up a raw potato and eat it. I've told that it's really good for stress release, and I like the way it tastes. So I do that sometimes, and I just eat it raw. I don't know if that's good for me, but
No, yeah, it is totally good for you.
it's just like,
If you like the flavor, more power to you.
I'm just like, hey, you know what? Stress release. I'll do anything to relieve stress. So.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's funny. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. Okay, Lynette, do you want to go next?
I can. Our Thanksgiving was real low key. We went to see my husband's stepdad at his independent living, and they had a Thanksgiving meal, but it was green bean casserole with who knows what and sweet potatoes with who knows what. So we had a little bit of salad and a little bit of fruit and a little piece of turkey. So just really low key for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
But what Chelsea was saying, I totally relate to. Several years ago when my husband found out he had this gluten issue and he was much healthier being off gluten. First Thanksgiving, we show up at Mom's and every single thing she made gluten-free. And I have a small family and he felt like he had to eat everything. And so when you have small gatherings, which all my family gatherings are small, there's they're watching closer that you're eating a little bit of everything and that they went through the trouble to make it. So, that's a pro and a con, telling them versus having all this food you feel obligated to eat.
Yeah. Interesting. Yes. That's where I would be like taking little scoops and then going into the kitchen and which is so bad, but I did that even this Thanksgiving because my godmother made a stuffing that was vegan, and there was something just in it that I just didn't resonate with, and so I felt bad. I didn't want to not eat it and have it on my plate, so I threw it away. It's horrible. But you do what you got to do. You know what's going to make your body feel well and what's not going to feel well. Bless Ron's heart. So super chill, but how was the week when you know, you're around family and stuff like that? Did everything,
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
your mom?
we don't eat over there for right now. We just are doing our own thing at our house and go visit. And mom's trying to follow the protocol as well. Daddy is not on board,
Yeah.
and he needs it the most. So that's kind of been tough.
Yeah.
But
I've been
we're
thinking
doing
about your dad lately. I keep thinking he needs to start doing like juicing, like raw juice. That keeps coming to my mind. I don't know why. Would he even go for that, Belle?
no, I've offered. He's too old to change. He thinks it's too late. Yeah.
Oh,
Mom's juicing.
yeah.
Mom is juicing, but Daddy just won't go for it.
We got to lace it with something fancy.
See, he doesn't even like flavored water.
Oh, shoot. Darn it.
So, yeah.
Well, I think the hard part about, you know, being around family with the holidays and everything is just not wanting to offend. And it's so emotional. There are so many connections with food and our emotions. And I think that that's like a God-given like gift, because, you know, any time of our lives, we have sadness, we want food. We have happiness, we get together, we celebrate, we have food. So there's definitely an emotional connection with the food that we eat. I just don't want, you know, the association with the holidays to be a negative experience because you're adapting to different ways of eating. So I think my biggest advice moving forward, especially because we have another big holiday coming, is to try to bring some more options for yourself so that you're not having to say as many no's, and get excited about it. Like Mika bringing that sweet potato dish to her family and just like, you know, this is what we have and it's awesome. And then everyone tries it and they're like, oh, it's vegan. Like they didn't even know, because people are so afraid of the unknown, right? They don't know that it's actually going to be awesome. It's going to taste so good and it's so much better for you without all that butter and, you know, cinnamon and sugar or whatever. So yeah, maybe just explore a little bit more with bringing some of your own dishes so that you can have still like enjoy the day. You know what I mean? Not just a little piece of salad and a little piece of fruit for Ron. Oh, bless his heart. I've gone to dinner with you guys and I love watching him eat. I don't know what it is. He just like eats like a prince or something. I don't know.
He loves it, but things are definitely different now. Is there a limit on how many dates you should have?
You're supposed
Because
to have.
he is addicted.
No.
And if he's getting too much of something, we need to know.
Usually between 3 and 4 a day. Like 4 is the most every day.
Yeah, well, okay.
He's got a little bit more than that.
Oh, yeah. He's munching on dates a lot now. So, and I know they're high in what, potassium or something?
Yeah, and they're a good source of iron and protein. I mean, they're super good for you. But, you know, just like anything.
Yeah.
Oh, my computer just talked and said, we've removed the 40-minute time limit on your group meeting. What does that mean? Okay, sorry. I don't know why my computer's talking to me. This meeting now has unlimited minutes.
It's coming up on mine too. This meeting no longer has limits.
That's
I think
really weird.
Choosing Zoom.
Okay, awesome. No, yeah, I would say like between 3 and 4 every day. I usually have 2 dates every day. 2 is like super good for you. Like 1 in the morning, 1 at night.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah.
A couple every meal, a couple in between meals. He likes his sweet fix, so.
Yes. Well, it's better than candy.
True.
Sheila, tell me how you're doing.
Oh, well, I'm doing better than I did last week. Our Thanksgiving was, we had 20 to 25 people, so it was really difficult to stay away from some of the items, but I had a lot of small portions, which was good. I tried to stay with the fruit and vegetables, and what else did I do? Stayed away from the dairy, which is not easy to do for a holiday dinner. Had no desserts whatsoever, which was great. I wasn't even craving any dessert.
That's amazing.
And then and no one knew except my mom that I was eating plant-based. And then it was after dinner, and I was talking to all of my brothers and sisters that I find out that they're also having the same issues I'm having. So it was good to know, and maybe they will jump on board, but probably not. They'll just suffer through it. So,
Yeah.
but it felt good that I was able to stick as close to it as I possibly could and not really falter too much.
Yeah, that's amazing. So what would you say the con would be? What was the hard part about it?
There really wasn't that much of a con.
Awesome.
I enjoyed the family and just had small portions. So I was great.
Yeah, it sounds like a win when I hear you say the words like, and I didn't want the dessert either. I'm like, wow, that's awesome. Because for me, I haven't been able to have dairy in my whole life, and I still am confronted with it. And I have that like, oh, I wish I could have that. It was my mom's birthday, or it's this week, but we celebrated it this weekend. And my grandmother brought like her homemade, most beautiful birthday cake. And I was like, oh, there's just that little bit inside of me that just wishes. And so I came home and I made dairy-free cookies with no sugar, right? It was just all healthy ingredients. But I do have dairy-free chocolate chips that are super tasty. And I find that this little recipe, they're like granola. I should probably share the recipe with you guys on the Facebook page so you can have them too when you have a sweet tooth craving. But I do the same thing if I'm really feeling like close to my cycle and I need something sweet. I'll do a little scoop of almond butter with just a little handful of those dairy-free chocolate chips. And that just like does the trick. You know what I mean? So thank you for sharing your wins this week. That's awesome. Okay, so next week, we're actually going to talk about how to transition from all of this into the rest of your life. And so, for some of you, that's going to mean incorporating some of these foods that you've been eliminating. And for others of you, you may want to continue on and not have the dairy for a little bit longer. But I will teach you exactly how to start incorporating chicken or fish or any of that too. So I hope that I get to see you on our last call next Monday. But for the remainder of this call, the last 20 minutes, I wanted to chat with you about how to keep going with these supplements, because from what I have gathered in talking to each of you individually is that you have seen so many incredible results, that you have less cravings, you've had less bloating, that you've been able to see, and even just hearing you tonight, that you don't have that desire or need to be fulfilled with all the foods that you used to eat. And kind of like on our very first call we had, I covered the reasons why you might be feeling these things, but it's just fun now to see that you are feeling that way. So in the MVP, the Microplex MVP, which is one of the 3-pack that you're taking, that one has all the daily nutrients of someone that lives in the country that we live in, right? So doTERRA actually makes these supplements different depending upon where these people live all around the world, internationally, because they have different needs than we do. And so with the nutritional needs that we have and the nutrient depletion of our soil, we're given certain nutrients based on our lifestyle and based on, where our needs are. And so the same thing with the XE Omega. I take the vegan one now, but the one with fish that you're taking right now is really important, especially when you're not consuming any meat. So what that one really does and what it targets the most is the functioning of our systems, our big organs in our body, our heart, our lungs, our liver, and the brain. And then the Alpha CRS Plus is the one with all the antioxidants. So if you've been feeling less bloating or even just like less water retention, that's a really really good one to attribute that to, because it is so high in plant-based antioxidants. All the phytonutrients that are in that one are really tailored to help the mitochondria of the cell. So it becomes this energy source and can give us more efficiency in our day and not wanting to gravitate towards caffeine. Or if you've been on caffeine and had to wean yourself, that would be something that would help in the rehabilitation of the liver and helping the toxicity of the liver. And then the Terrazyme, the food nutrient enzymes that you take 2 before each meal, those are not in the supplement pack, but those have been transformative in my health, in my family's health, and in so many of you, because what it does is it takes anything that your body might be sensitive to, and it helps the body to digest it, break it down, and then use that as energy. And I think that's the thing that is so key in all of this and wanting to continue how we feel, is because right now we feel great, but if we stop all of a sudden to take this supplement rinse, or we stop all of a sudden to eat the way we're eating, then you're going to start to see like a really like stark change. It's going to be worse than it was before, just because you've cleansed yourself. So this happened to me my very first time I did Whole30. It's an elimination diet, and I did it 6 or 7 years ago for the first time. And I remember I'd gotten off dairy completely. I have had a dairy allergy and a sensitivity my entire life, but my mom would always give me probiotics and things to take when I would have butter. So butter was something that people had said to me, like, oh, it has such a low lactose level, and so you're fine to take that. But I realized once I eliminated it completely from my diet and then started to incorporate it back into my diet after the 30 days, I had the worst flare-up I'd ever had in my life. I was, vomiting. I had sores all over my body, open sores on my scalp. Like, it was really, really intense. And that's when I went to an allergist and learned kind of the depth of my sensitivity to dairy, and that it was much more than just like a stomach ache, which a lot of people get when they have dairy. And so what I'm saying is the Terrazyme, what that does is it really helps to reboot the body. So you've got like every kind of protective barrier. Think of the enzymes as like little soldiers or with shields that are taking any food that comes into your body, even if it's a pesticide that's left over on a piece of a vegetable that you eat. And it takes that and it just like breaks it down, turns it into a really soluble liquid base, and you end up just eliminating it from the body in pee or whatever in the bathroom, right? So that's just an awesome, awesome tool that you can continue to take 2 before each meal, 3 meals a day. And then the probiotic is the one that you're taking right before bedtime, and that's the double encapsulated. It has the exterior fibers right around it, and then the middle green pill is protected in a UV layer, as well as it's super, super vulnerable to light and temperature and all of that. And so it's protected with the prebiotics. And so that one really repopulates the gut with healthy bacteria. And the healthy bacteria that you're getting is able to fight or eliminate a lot of the bad bacteria that tends to take over, that leads to things like candida or an overgrowth of fungus, yeast, any kind of like illness even. So if you consistently take the probiotic, every single night from here on out, then you're going to find yourself getting sick a whole lot less frequently than you have before. And it does take time. I've worked with families sometimes for years that have really built up a really intense, what's the word I'm trying to say? I'm thinking of it in Italian when you were, oh my gosh, I can't think of the word. But anyways, when your body resistance, that's the word. When your body builds up a resistance to antibiotics, and a lot of people who've been on antibiotics over and over and over again, they have destroyed the microbiome within their digestive tract. And so it takes years to rebuild that bacteria, that healthy gut flora. And so the probiotics can assist in the development of long-lasting healthy gut flora. And so for some families that have been on antibiotics for many, many times, it can take a lot longer than it would for someone who hasn't. So the continuation of the probiotic will build that healthy gut flora and the immune system. But another really great side benefit to taking the probiotic is that it helps with mental health. So there's more serotonin released from the digestive tract than there are from the brain. And so there's more neurons in the stomach that trigger the production of serotonin, which is really, really interesting. And science has proven it, but we just don't talk about it a lot. We just believe that, depression starts in the brain. But really, things like anxiety or depressive feelings can start in your stomach from the way that you're eating and your diet. And so the more that you take the probiotic, you'll find the more you're able to control some of those feelings, and the less anxious you are. Now, I'm not a doctor, obviously, and doTERRA always says that on the bottle, it's not FDA approved that it's going to cure you of some mental illness. Obviously, see a doctor, see a professional. But if you can somehow tackle these issues or minimize those triggers naturally, then why not? I'm all in, right? I'm more prone to anxiety just because of my bloodline. And so I am very religious about taking my probiotic. There are times that the order comes in and I miss a couple of days, and it's very noticeable for me when I'm not on it. So each of those things can be bundled together. When you paid for this program, that price included the supplements, because the supplements are $79, $79.99 or something like that, so $80. But then doTERRA lets you bundle and save. So if you were to add on a bottle of probiotics, normally from doTERRA, they're $34.50. But when you add on a probiotic to the Lifelong Vitality Pack Trio, the price goes down to $20. And the same thing with the Terrazyme. The Terrazyme is normally $37.50, but when you add it onto the Lifelong Vitality Pack, doTERRA allows you to bundle up to 3 additional supplements, and the enzymes are one of those. And so that one also goes down to $20. So it's 80 plus 20 plus 20, so it's $120 for a month's supply. Now, if you are in a space where, financially that might be outside of what you can afford, I would recommend getting a month's supply and seeing if you could stretch it out for the 2 months. Some people take half a dose of the Lifelong Vitality Pack, which would be 1 from each bottle before breakfast and dinner instead of 2 from each bottle before breakfast and dinner. For myself, I did that for about a year and a half until I could afford my husband and I to both get the full dose. But I have noticed obviously a difference. I just know that if I didn't have the funds, I would still want to do at least the half a dose every day. And then the probiotic would be something you would just have to get monthly if you're just stretching out the Lifelong Vitality, because there is no skipping that one for me. So you get to decide that. But the last thing I want to mention is not everyone here is enrolled in doTERRA or has a membership. And so I'm just going to briefly talk about what that means and the value of a membership. So in doTERRA, there are 3 different ways that you can purchase. You can purchase retail, which is 25% more than wholesale. You can purchase wholesale by picking things a la carte, or you can purchase like an entire starter kit. And the starter kits are generally bundled by doTERRA, different products, and then they actually take away the enrollment fee when you buy a kit. But for most people that enroll with a program like this, you're paying $35 for a membership and then adding on items a la carte. And that would be things like the Lifelong Vitality Pack, the Terrazyme, and the probiotic. And so it adds up to be $120 plus the $35, so $155 for your membership. That membership will last you 12 months. And after 12 months, doTERRA allows you to renew your membership, but it goes down to $25 instead of $35. And they send you a 15 milliliter size bottle of peppermint in exchange for you renewing your membership. And this is $21 normally. So you end up paying $4 for your membership. The other thing I want to touch on briefly is that there are things that you get when you become a member. When you choose to get a wholesale customer account, you are getting products from doTERRA for 25% less. You also have access into a community. That's why it's really, really important to align yourself with someone that you know is going to hold your hand and educate you in the coming weeks, months, and years. Because when you purchase a membership from doTERRA, you're buying it from someone and their community. So you can't just go on Amazon and buy it and expect to get the kind of education that you would get if you were a part of my community. My community is called the Wellness Academy. And in the Wellness Academy, us scholars, or people like me, people who are building a business in doTERRA, other mothers, women, and some fathers, have a wealth of knowledge and experience. We have naturopaths, we have people who are also in nutrition like I am, nurses, there are exercise scientists, and all sorts of like a variety of experience that they bring to the table, so that if I can't answer a question directly in our private Facebook group of Wellness Academy, that there's surely someone else there who can. And I think that that's really valuable. In fact, I think it's invaluable to have a space that's really, really so connected, and that everyone has each other's back. And the last thing with the membership that you get is you get a continued support from me. I become your partner. I become someone like your advocate that you can text, you can call, you can email, and have an immediate answer. So when you invest in my community, I invest in you. That's just the name of the game. And that's why it's so, so special that we have each other, because we can keep this going and we can continue to heal together. So that being said, I want to make sure that everybody is aware of how to become a member or how to get these products. And so you would go to my website, which is holisticwifehappylife.com, and click on the link that says Get Started. And then it will describe everything with a lot more answers and answer any questions you have. I also have recorded myself talking about some things too. So if you have more questions, you can go there. But does anyone have any questions before? That was a lot of information.
I'll just say to the people who aren't members of doTERRA, if you do it and you're part of Lena's community, she is amazing. She has answered questions for me, all hours of the day and night, and she's always just been wonderful. And I recommend it highly, doing it and being part of her community, because it's been a lifesaver for me. It really has. Yeah. I can't say enough how wonderful doTERRA has been for me, and it's all because she taught me everything I know.
Melissa, you're so sweet. Thank you. That's very nice. I mean, we may be a little partial because we're practically neighbors and we love each other, but for everyone who doesn't live nearby, right, I'll still be there because Melissa's across the country now and we still get to communicate. And my team is vast. Everyone is spread all over the country, and some spackled throughout Europe and other parts of the world. And so we're all still connected though, because we're all just trying to do, what's best for our bodies and make better choices. And I think it's so, so important to do that with people that you trust and that you could link arms with and can buoy you up when you're, in a hard time. So, right? I love that. Thanks, Melissa. Well, if there aren't any other questions, I am so excited for this week because I want to see pictures from everybody. Have you ever heard of this essential oil called Clary Calm? I was going to get it out of my purse, but my purse is over there by the stairs. So Clary Calm is a women's blend, and it's something that I use every single day to promote uterine health and hormonal function, and it helps with hormonal migraines. I even use it on my breasts when I have like sore breasts or sore back or neck pain or anything like that. So it smells amazing and I'm obsessed with it. And it's $24.50. And every single person that participates in the Women in Balance gets a Clary Calm for free when you record a personal review, if you will. So I'm going to send questions to you, and if you record yourself answering these questions, then I will send you a package in the mail with a free bottle of Clary Calm for your honest feedback about the program. So look for that in your inbox. All the recipes have gone out, so no more recipes this week. So just continue on with everything. And I so look forward to seeing you guys again. Bye, guys. Have an awesome rest of your night.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lena.
Yeah. Bye.